represent your presence here at the largest multi-day event in conservative grassroots history. Is a message that will be heard by these people.
Phoenix, Arizona, people from all over the country.
It's quite remarkable because it brings everybody
together. One of my favorite of the year.
Energy, let us want you to see it.
The stakes are high. We have only begun to fight.
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome to the Standard of Truth podcast, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. Happy Lord's Day, everybody. Happy Sunday. I am your host, April Chapman, and thank you so much for tuning in. I know I'm late, y'all. Listen, I'm black. I can't help it. It's like in my DNA or something. Welcome to everyone who has joined us for the live stream. That is not an excuse. No, it is not acceptable for me to use my ethnicity as a crutch to explain away why I'm late. I'm late because I'm busy. I'm busy and my life is just lifing. And I had to cook dinner and tend to my children and make sure everybody was situated where they needed to be situated before I went live. But I am here now, and today we are diving in to some breaking news that actually it revisits one of the most explosive and controversial cases in modern American history. So I'm going to welcome everybody to the live chat tonight. This is a very serious topic that we need to discuss, and so I'm going to get straight to it. Let me know if my audio is okay, because I don't need y'all missing any aspect of what I need to talk to you about tonight. So, the 2006 Duke University lacrosse scandal. Y'all, it's back in the news again. And this is a case that actually destroyed lives. It destroyed lives. It captivated the nation and fueled heated debates about race and class and justice. And recently, it has taken a shocking turn nearly 20 years later. So some of you guys may be too young. If you're some of my younger audience, you may not be familiar with this story, but Crystal Mangum, she is the woman who accused 3 Duke lacrosse players of rape. And now she has admitted that she lied. Who knew, right? Now, the truth be told, in 2006, I was a liberal. I wasn't married yet. I was dating Robert, and I was knee deep into my false doctrine and my liberalism. And I was a 26-year-old at the time, and I was living my best life. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was cute. I owned my own home. I owned my own insurance company. Like, life was good for me. And so therefore, I really didn't follow this case that closely. I remember it. I loosely remembered the details surrounding it. However, the facts of this case, even back then as a liberal, always seemed a little sketchy to me. I'm just going to be a little honest. The way the mainstream media handled this case, whether you were looking at it back then or looking at it now, it was horrible. I mean, horrible. It was just bad. And so what I want to do is I want to read to you guys a few quotes from some notable news outlets. We're going to take a trip down memory lane, and I'm going to read you guys some quotes. So this one is from Nancy Grace. Before they suspended the men's lacrosse team season, Nancy Grace, she sarcastically noted on air the following, and I quote, she said, "I'm so glad they didn't miss a lacrosse game over a little thing like gang grape." I'm saying grape because that's the way we have to refer to these things because of the YouTube. And then she goes, quote, "Why would you go to a cop in an alleged gang grape case, say, and lie and give misleading information?" End quote. We have another journalist by the name of Susan Estrich, and this is what she said, quote, "I teach criminal law, but what are we dealing with here? The mafia or a sports team from a first-class university? Instead, they hire lawyers to trash the victim and the prosecutor." End quote. We have another one from Wendy Murphy. Wendy Murphy, she supplied the case with some of the most inflammatory claims and supported the withholding of evidence by then Durham County District Attorney Mike Nefong, saying, quote, "Nefong should be rewarded for respecting the defendant's rights by not leaking the type of evidence that could help him personally respond to criticism." End quote. Murphy then says, I quote, "I never, ever met a false grape claim, by the way. My own statistics speak to the truth." End quote. Now, you guys, the media, they presented this story as three white males by the names of David Evans, Reed Seligman, and Colin Finnerty. These guys were presented as gentlemen from privileged backgrounds at an elite university, apparently taking advantage of a student and single mother by the name of Crystal Mangum from, across town, a black college, NCCU state, NCCU to be specific. And the way the story was framed is if this was, this young girl just trying to make ends meet by working as a stripper and an escort. Now, you guys know I'm a Christian, okay? Y'all already know how this goes, and you already know that all I care about is the truth. I'm really not interested in how you feel. I'm not interested in your melanin worship or bias. All I care about are the things that align with the objective standard of truth, which is the Word of God. So here it goes. I've got lots of things to say about this. And if you're familiar with my content, you may already know what I am going to say. But this entire case from start to finish should make all of us recalibrate and focus on what the Bible tells us that we should be focusing on. That is this thing called your character, right? Character matters. And I want to spend some time talking to you about character. I'm going to show you guys some news clips, but let me go ahead and read to you. What is character? Character refers to who you are at your core. It's those distinctive qualities or traits that make up your identity and that drive you to do or not to do the things that you do. So in the case of Crystal Mangum, she was presented as this poor black female who was a single mother who decided to be a stripper and an escort to pay her way through school. Now, in modern American society, because we've fallen so deep into the depths of our depravity, we are so depraved and just backwards that we would look at behavior like that as a virtue. Like we'd say, see, this woman is a go-getter, right? She's working hard, wants to create a better life for her and her kid by going to college and doing the best that she can. So she's going to be a stripper to work her way through school. Listen, I'm no prude. Okay, I went to Spelman College, which is smack dead in the middle of Southwest Atlanta. And there were quite a few chicks on our campus that was doing something strange for some change to pay their way through the overpriced and expensive Spelman College. Listen, we all were struggling. In fact, little known fact, I'm actually a Spelman College dropout because it was so expensive. And I chose to try my hand at entrepreneurism because halfway through I was like, oh, I don't run out of money. I said, yeah, well, I ain't about to go to Magic City for this balance. So I said, I got to find a way or make a way. And I figured it out. And do you know what? I didn't think it was cool then, and I sure don't think it's cool now to choose to be a stripper to pay your way through school. Why? Because character matters. Character matters. I'm not standing on this high horse like I had it all together back then, because we all have been young and dumb at some point. However, Spelman was expensive. And yes, Magic City was one of the top strip clubs not that far from Spelman College. But there were a myriad of things that young girls could do to earn income, and stripping on a pole should never be one of them. I don't care how down bad you are. It's just not an option, or should not be. Many of the girls I went to school with, we worked at MBNA, which was the local credit card company. Y'all, we hated that darn job. It was horrible working there, but it was a respectable and honest way to earn a living, and they offered tuition reimbursement, and many of us worked there to work our way through school. Some of us worked at the mall, right? Now, I'm telling my age, good. I worked at the mall, and I worked at Structure, which was a men's clothing store. I worked at Express. I worked at the Limited. I worked at the JW Marriott. I was doing banquet serving, data entry at the Golden Key National Honor Society. Listen, I didn't have to be sliding up and down somebody's pole. One, my mama was alive and she would have killed me if she found out. And two, even when a person is spiritually dead, dead in their sins and their trespasses, parents, even unbelieving parents, have the capacity to teach their children about the importance of character. And so we're going to talk a lot about character in a bit. But right now, let's go ahead. We're going to break down this story, and we're going to explore what this means for the accused, right? We're going to explore what this means for Crystal Mangum, and then the implications for our broader culture. So, what do we know? We know that in a recent podcast interview, we know that Crystal Mangum confessed that her accusations against the Duke lacrosse players, David Evans, Colin Finnerty, and Reed, I don't even know if I'm saying his name correctly, Reed Seligman, were false. Here are her exact words. Quote, this is what she says. I testified falsely against them by saying that they graped me when they didn't, and that was wrong. This is what she said. Then she goes, I made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted validation from people and not from God. Now, she went on to express remorse, asking for forgiveness from the men that she falsely accused, their families, and anyone whose trust that she betrayed. Now, y'all know, as a Christian, even this is hard for me to swallow. This was hard for me because my faith teaches me to forgive the trespasses of others. And as my Heavenly Father in heaven has forgiven me, I am to exhibit that same level of forgiveness. Trust me, I know the text. I know the admonition well. We are supposed to forgive 70 times 70. But let me tell you, I struggled and I'm still struggling with this because in my flesh, this story is jacked up. It's jacked up because of our obsession with race and this nation's willingness to believe a lie instead of seeking out the truth, people's lives were ruined and they continue to be ruined behind situations like this or ones that are similar to it. This story never had any legs to stand on, and never held any legal or criminal weight. And the facts of this case never truly lined up. And so many people knew that this chick was lying. Right? I have talked to individuals who remember the situation back then, and they're like, I told you, I've been saying this since Jesus was an infant, that girl was lying. But none of that mattered. You heard the reporters that I quoted. Believe all women. I've never met a grape victim that was lying. She's a single mom. 3 white boys have privilege. She's poor and she's a stripper. Just believe her. We don't, victim shame. We don't do that. Listen, they just wanted us to just believe her. My question is, what if one of these young men were one of your sons? Because I have 2 sons, and I love my boys to pieces. I would die for them little boys. Actually, they're big boys because they're bigger than me, but I would die for my kids. And I wish some orangutan whoremonger stripper would accuse my boys of a heinous crime such as grape. Y'all would have to lock me up. You'd have to lock me up and throw away the key because of what I would have done to the accuser. I'm not saying it's right. I'm telling you, I would go ape crazy because I know my boys. I have raised them to be respectable young men of good character. And no, our children are not perfect, and all of us are depraved, and we're just not as wicked as we could be. But for someone to come along to try to destroy their lives because they can't manage their misery, you talking about restraint of the Holy Spirit, baby. You don't want to see Mama Bear come out. You don't want to meet that chick. Because somebody going to jail, and it's probably going to be me. I'm just saying. I'm going to just let y'all know, clink, clink, get the handcuffs ready because I'm going to get booked tonight. So, we're going to move right along. Here's what we know. After the recent podcast, when Crystal Mangum, she confesses. She says that, I wanted validation and this was wrong and it wasn't okay. So this is what ends up happening. 2007, the North Carolina Attorney General dismissed the charges. That's what happened. The charges got dismissed. They declared the players innocent, citing, wait for it, a lack of evidence. So next year, the guys are innocent because of a lack of evidence. So I'm like, well, I'll be darned. It ain't like we don't know this. It's not like we never saw the fact that there was a lack of evidence. But just like that, it just goes away. And now it gets even better. We can't forget the fallout for Durham's district attorney, Mike Nefong. So this joker was disbarred and convicted of criminal contempt for the way that he handled the case. Let me go ahead and show you guys this Fox News story.
I testified falsely against them by saying that they raped me when they didn't, and that was wrong, and made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted validation from people and not from God. I hope that they can forgive me.
After 18 years, the former stripper in the Duke Lacrosse scandal admits she made it all up. Back in 2006, Crystal Mangum accused 3 Duke University lacrosse players of raping her at a team party where she performed. Today, she says she lied about it. It was a case that captivated the nation. The 3 students were charged with multiple counts despite the absence of concrete evidence. They were eventually exonerated, but their lives were forever changed. Robert Schulk is a defense attorney and former prosecutor. Bob, so let's walk through this with me. So she is currently in prison for second-degree murder of her boyfriend, but could she face any new charges connected to these false allegations?
Arthel, unfortunately, I don't think that she can. The statute of limitations for perjury has run for purposes of this state. So even though she admitted that she lied and she ruined the lives of 3 college kids, I don't see any possible criminal charges coming her way. And civilly, I mean, obviously, the 3 gentlemen, Mr. Seligman, Mr. Evans, and Mr. Finnerty, had a lawsuit against Duke University, which was settled for an undisclosed amount, and they've moved on with their lives. I mean, they're not going to bring a lawsuit against an individual who's incarcerated for murder, who likely doesn't have any assets. And likely they don't want to begin, bring these facts up again and going to court and fighting anything. I'm sure they've moved on with their lives. But again, at what cost? I mean, it cost them a great deal that an individual went to court and swore under oath that a rape occurred that never did.
I want to read a quote from then North Carolina Attorney General Roy Cooper. This was in 2007 on declining to prosecute Crystal Mangum for perjury. It says, quote, "Our investigators who talk with her and the attorneys who talk with her over a period of time think that she may actually believe the many different stories that she has been telling. We believe it's in the best interest of justice not to bring charges." So, Bob, I ask you now, was that the right decision at that time? And will this case prompt a change in perjury laws?
I could not disagree with that analysis more. They had ATM footage of one of these individuals, one of these men, these Duke students, at an ATM at the time that she said it happened. Prosecutors all over the country and prosecutors' offices are afraid to prosecute perjury cases. They feel as if they're doing some disservice to the criminal justice system. Think about, I'm a former prosecutor and now I'm a defense attorney. The hardest thing to do in court is to prove someone's lying by asking a question. They had concrete evidence that she was lying at the time, and they had such a black eye from what Mike Nifong did, hiding evidence and losing his license and doing a night in jail, that they just didn't want to bring any more media attention to it. They were afraid to do the right thing, and that's what is disgusting, in my opinion, as it pertains to this case. As it pertains to changes in the law, if I'm a politician in the state of North Carolina, I immediately, this year, 2025, the fact that this has come to light with this apology, a little too late in my opinion, but this apology, you need to petition the state and put together a bill which extends the statute of limitations almost infinitely, so that individuals who are wronged and lies are committed and they are brought into court can still be prosecuted years later. They've changed statutes for rape cases and child victims cases such as this, and I think now is the time to do it, and I hope other states follow.
Well, there is another statement I want to read. This is from James Cooney. He's an attorney who represented Duke lacrosse player Reed Seligman, and he was reacting to Mangum's apology. He says, quote, "We obviously," this is yesterday, he says, obviously, we'd known all along she was lying. In some sense, it's nice to see her let the public know there was just this enormous path of destruction. I think she's beginning to realize kind of the enormity of what she caused." So Crystal Mangum has asked the former lacrosse players to forgive her, but how can those players and others who lost their job in the process regrow the scorched earth her testimony created?
They can't. I mean, you had 3 men lose the ability to attend one of the most prestigious universities in the country at Duke. They were thrown off one of the best college lacrosse programs that has ever existed. Duke lacrosse is in the top 10 every single year. They're a phenomenal program. You had lacrosse coaches lose jobs. You had administrators at schools lose jobs. Duke lost millions of dollars. These kids' reputations, it doesn't matter that they were exonerated at a later date. If you were to Google their names, this is the first thing that's going to come up for every job search. You cannot scrub the internet. And the court of public opinion is very damning, regardless of whether you're exonerated or not. And these are the types of allegations that prevent people from getting jobs and will follow you forever. So unfortunately, there's the apology, as the lawyer for Mr. Seligman indicated, is obviously appreciated at this late stage, but they knew the truth all along. And as you indicated, there's no way she can put the toothpaste back in the tube. She lied. It was out. You can't put it back in. And she can't, fix the harm that she did.
Bob, finally, how does this impact defense of actual rape victims?
It's very difficult, Artha. When you go into a courtroom and lawyers have different jobs, prosecutors have a job, defense attorneys have a job. And as I indicated earlier, the hardest thing to do is to prove that an individual is lying. The only thing we can rely on is that the prosecutors learn from the Mike Nifong situation and they do their jobs the right way. And the best part about being a prosecutor, as I was one before, is that if the individual you are prosecuting is innocent or someone has lied against them, you get to open the door and let them go free and right that wrong. And that's what didn't happen here. And that is why we're still talking about it all these years later. And you just hope that young lawyers are educated in law school about specifically this case and the roles everyone played and how they should take that moving forward in their career so things like this don't happen again.
Defense attorney Robert Schulk. Bob, thank you for joining us.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do.
All right, you guys. So I went ahead and I let all of that play because I thought it was important to listen to what this attorney brought up. But I thought it was interesting that he said in 2007, which was a year after the accusation, they could have easily charged her with perjury, and they chose not to. And I'm inclined to believe that the reason why they knew in 2007 that she was lying, and they chose not to pursue the perjury charges because this has created such an ethnic firestorm, and so many lives were destroyed and jobs were lost, and the media was complicit in pushing the race-based narrative that we're going to discuss, that had they pursued her for perjury, it would have turned into a whole nother firestorm of, y'all just being racist. It's just because she black and it's because she a stripper. And they would have come up with all sorts of excuses to alleviate her of the responsibility of dealing with the repercussions and the consequences of her bad choices. And that leads me to what this whole video is actually about, because Crystal Mangum's admission of guilt, it raises significant questions. I haven't even let y'all hear the verbal confession. So let me go ahead and just play that real quick. I meant to play it, but I didn't. I played this Fox News clip first. So let's go back. It's only a couple of seconds. I just want you to hear her in her own words. Take a listen.
Firestorm. She now says she lied about the encounter. Crystal Mangum first made the claims back in 2006, saying 3 members of the school's lacrosse team raped her after she had been hired to dance at a house party the team was throwing. Police charged David Evans, Colin Finnerty, and Reed Seligman after Mangum's accusations. But after much back and forth and the city's DA stepping down from the case, North Carolina's Attorney General later dismissed the charges, citing a lack of evidence. But now, going on the record on a podcast nearly 20 years later, Crystal Mangum says she was lying the whole time.
I testified falsely against them by saying that they raped me when they didn't, and that was wrong. And I betrayed the trust of a lot of other people who believed in me. And made up a story that wasn't true because I wanted validation from people and not from God. And that was wrong when God already loved me for who I was, regardless. I didn't need to seek validation from him because I already had validation from him. I just didn't know it. And I hurt my brothers. And I hope that they can forgive me And I want them to know that I love them. And they didn't deserve that. And I hope they can forgive me. And that I hope that they can heal and trust God and know that God loves them, and that God is loving them through me, letting them know that they're valuable and that they didn't deserve that.
Joining me now is CNN's Gene Casares, who reported.
I told y'all this was hard for me. It's hard because I'm sitting here as a Christian content creator trying to, you know, listen to her words and want, you know, you want to believe a person. It's just, I need to at least be honest and transparent and say in my flesh, because of all of the destruction that this caused and then how long it took for her to finally come out and tell the truth, when, you know, she knew from the jump that this was a lie. And I'm struggling. So y'all just gonna have to struggle with me. I don't know where you are on your sanctification journey. I'm just letting you know where I am. I get it. Understand the biblical admonition. But your girl is struggling, okay? So, Crystal Mangum's admission of guilt. Significant questions that all of this raises. First, what does this mean for the lives, the men whose lives were ended, destroyed, and just turned topsy-turvy upside down by her false claims and accusation? Like, we need to examine that, right? Their lives were upended by her false claims. And then second, how should we as a society, how do we balance, right? The idea that, you know, we are supposed to forgive, and, you know, we're supposed to be long-suffering and forbear, and people deserve second chances. Like, there's so many questions that need to be examined here. But another one I want to bring up is how does we as a society, how do we balance the pursuit of justice with the presumption of innocence? Right? Because it seems that the media was ready to just assume that this had to do with racism, and it's the poor black stripper girl trying to work her way through college, and these are just some white privileged boys who were just taking advantage of her. Right? And third, how do we as Christians, how do we respond to stories like this, both in terms of seeking truth and offering forgiveness? So what I want to do, first I need to remind you guys, can y'all go ahead and like this video and subscribe to the channel? I am trying to grow the channel and hit my benchmark of 100,000 subscribers. So if you could go ahead and like this video, share this content. I'm going to try to get through this. Y'all know how I get. When I get real passionate and stuff, I start throwing stuff, start flying all over the place. The mic, I start slapping the mic. I just go in. So I'm trying to reserve a lot of my passion. I'm trying to dial it back because, like I said, this one was hard for me and I am struggling a little bit. So first thing I want to do is let's examine what Crystal has stated, right? So she says, quote, "I wanted validation from people and not from God." Let me just make sure I have what I need here. Let's see. I played the Fox News segment. Okay. She says, "I wanted validation from people and not from God." And that was one of the main parts of her confession that stood out to me. When she goes, "I wanted validation from people and not from God," I struggled because I'm like, listen, I get it. I've been a sinner that was dead in my sin and trespasses, where you do something and you like, you know what, I'm hurting a lot of people. You know, I feel Some of us feel godly sorrow, and then there are some of us that we just feel like a worldly sorrow that doesn't lead to repentance, right? So for me, I hear her words and I struggle because I've been a broken person before, right? Like I've been lost and dead in my sins and trespasses, so I get it. But this is a stark reminder of the human tendency for us to seek affirmation in all of the wrong places. What I find interesting is that I know y'all feel some sort of kind of way when I refer to people as orangutans. And I know y'all are like, it's comical, and some of y'all absolutely hate the term, but I need you to hear my heart and understand why I came up with this term, because it really has so much weight. So when I define the term orangutan, it's a female imbecile who cannot manage her misery. And what happens is this is not an external visual characteristic. It is a behavioral one. And what happens with the orangutans, because they can't manage their misery, chaos is all around them. They create chaos, they show out, they do all kinds of sinful, wicked things that hurt other people, all because they can't manage their misery. So I know the term orangutan is an inflammatory term, and I've defined it. Like I said, it's the female imbecile who can't manage the misery. And so the chaos that they create, it's a reflection of what's going on inside of them, right? The orangutan energy, it has sweeping consequences, right? And the consequences that ensue, it's not just for the orangutan, but it's for the people in their lives and the people who have to experience their brokenness in real time. So the reason why I discuss race and ethnicity so much on this channel is because I have become keenly aware, particularly the older that I get, that ethnicity has become one of the most primary idols in the lives of so many people who look like me. And I've realized that it is a stumbling block that leads to so many problems. What do I mean? I want to read you guys a scripture real quick. Galatians 1:10 says, "For am I now seeking the approval of man or of God? Or am I trying to please man? If I were still trying to please man, I would not be a servant of Christ." You guys, Crystal Mangum's acknowledgement of her need for God's validation points to a deeper truth. One, only God can fill the void that leads us to make destructive choices. So the desire to please man or to seek validation and approval of man never ends well. Why? Because we were created to please and glorify God and God alone. We do what pleases him. We do what pleases him, which in turn impacts how we deal with and interact with others. So culture today is teaching people, especially Black people, that you have to amplify and create these artificial weights. You have to erect these imaginary barriers on the account of their skin color or their gender or their sexual orientation. And then to use said artificial weights, you use it as a crutch. You use it as this imaginary barrier to extort, to falsely accuse, and to avoid accountability and personal responsibility for everything that you do. They always give us race. They give us race, ethnicity, as this fallback position, and they use it because when they point to race, they know everybody's going to listen. They know if they just say this was racially motivated, that it's going to garner the attention of the people, and people's ears are going to perk up and listen and pay attention because they're like, well, you know, it's always racist. It's always somebody being racist. Listen, people like Al Sharpton and Jamal Bryant all of those pimp civil rights leaders and fake preachers, they always want to capitalize off of lies and push these false narratives that involve black and white people because the race narrative sells. For example, if Daniel Penny was black, and what he did to Jordan Neely happened exactly the way it did, we wouldn't have never heard about the story. But because Daniel Penny was white, it had to have been race. Forget the fact that that boy was threatening other black people on the train. It didn't matter. Daniel Penny was white, so therefore it had to have been racially motivated. As I was researching to cover this bombshell of a story regarding Crystal Mangum's confession, I knew Al Sharpton's little tiny, greasy, grubby hands was all over this story. I knew it's because it's not a race trading grievance story that he has not participated in. I knew his little tiny, grimy, evil hands with his bobble head were all over it. I just knew. And Reverend Al, he tried to claim that he ain't have nothing to do with this Duke Lacrosse case. I want y'all to take a look. Take a look at this line, Negro.
The jury that he used there. So I think, again, this book is not about all of that. This book is about how you do things. But I think that it is the basis of a case. You've got people right now, Willie, that says he shouldn't have gotten involved in Duke Lacrosse. I didn't get involved in that. Not one time. Never went to North Carolina. But people get carried away in the emotions because they just broad stroke rather than say, well, wait a minute. If there's a claim there and people are being denied their right for redress, why wouldn't civil rights leaders respond?
This #1 race hustler is such a liar. And he has never apologized for the flames of racial hatred that he stoked surrounding this story. He has never apologized for it. Y'all doing okay out there? Let me just check on y'all. Y'all let me know if y'all doing good. My mouse is acting crazy. But anyway, he never apologized. Never once apologized. According to the Free Beacon, y'all had to dig through the crates for this one. According to the Free Beacon, Al Sharpton, while continuing to defend his involvement in the Tawana Brawley hoax, right? He misleadingly told Morning Joe and the panelists that he wasn't involved in the 2006 Duke Lacrosse rape case. I'm sorry, grape. Did I said grape. Didn't I say grape? Yes, I said grape. He tried to say that he wasn't even involved in that. This bobblehead, as he was being questioned by the co-host William Geist on the Brawley case, Sharpton brought up Duke. He brought up Duke. Now, here's the part that is true. Though he did not physically go to Durham, to say that he was not involved is not entirely true. It's just untrue, right? He spoke out on this issue on national television, and he spoke about this case often. Some of his statements include, and I quote, he says, I think that there are certainly a lot of racial factors. Not, these gentlemen are being accused of this, and this female is hurling the accusation here. He's the one that brought up these racial factors. He says whether it is directly in the case, we'll see, because some reports said that there was racial language used. He told Bill O'Reilly in a 2006 interview on Fox News, he went on to say that the public was trying the victim. But as it turns out, we all discovered that the girl's claims of grape were false. It wasn't even true. So then I started digging a little more. I said, okay, so he out here saying that he had nothing to do with this, even though it is on record that he spoke nationally about this story often, right? Then I found out, this was shocking, that even liberal Whoopi Goldberg, you know it's bad when Whoopi call you out. Whoopi Goldberg, she called out Sharpton in 2007 for jumping too swiftly to conclusions about this case. I could not believe it. I actually found the transcript quote of what she said. Now, Whoopi liberal, and she way Trump deranged and liberal now, but at least she had the decency to say, and I quote, she goes, "And I know, Al, that you were down there and you were really trying to look out for the folks that thought that they were really being run over. But as it turns out, it wasn't true," she said. "And I want you to apologize to them because those kids went through hell. And I think we owe it to them." End quote. Now, I'm curious to know tomorrow on The View, since this just came out, if Whoopi's going to remember that she had said that, and if she is still going to be consistent and offer criticism to the race-bait Negro Al Sharpton. I doubt it. But that is what she said, and I was shocked. So I'm going to give her credit where credit is due. She was right in that assessment. Has Al Sharpton ever apologized? Heck no. Nah, he ain't apologized. He don't think he did anything wrong. He never apologized. He hadn't apologized for this one, and he hasn't apologized for the Tawana Brawley mishap, right? Never apologized for that fake grape hoax. And he's never apologized to the Duke Lacrosse players. Why? Because the man is evil and wicked. And he's always been about the grift, and he has always been out for himself. I have utter contempt for him and his kind, and I will not apologize for it. I went and I did some more digging. And I found, got it right here, I found the partial transcript of an interview that Al Sharpton did on April 18th, 2006. So we're going to go ahead and review this transcript because I thought this was rich. And so give me one quick, make sure. Sorry, I didn't mean to mute my mic. Sorry, y'all. Sorry. Okay. Bill O'Reilly was the host. And this is what Bill O'Reilly says. I could not find the video. I found a link to the video, and it took me to Fox News' website, and they had pulled the video. So all I could do was find the transcript. So unfortunately, y'all, I'm going to have to act this out as if I'm Bill O'Reilly and Al Sharpton. And I don't have an ultra perm like Al does, so I'm going to just do my best. But Bill O'Reilly says 2 Duke Lacrosse players have been arrested and charged with grape, among other violent crimes. They are free on $400,000 bail. As you may know, the students attended a party where a stripper hired by the lacrosse team said she was great. With us now, civil rights activist Reverend Al Sharpton, is this a racial issue? Like, he was asked flat out, is this a racial issue? Al Sharpton goes, I think that there are certainly a lot of racial factors. Whether it's directly in the case, we'll see, because some reports say that there was racial language used, but I think that when you look at the racial atmosphere, what racial atmosphere was he talking about? What is he even talking about? He's just inserting it in there. He goes, when you look at the fact that there again were the allegations of racial statements, when you look at a lot of people feeling that they have been treated differently, I'm like, wait a minute. So we got racial allegations based on a feeling, and just because of the people involved? Then she goes, where this girl has basically had a character charged in the media, there's a lot of racism that's in the air. Well, wait a minute. Did he mention that word character? Did he? He said this girl has basically had a character charge, I think the transcript should say had her character charge in the media. Well, that's part of how we end up here in situations like this. The issue is sometimes, and I think it's important, character has to be evaluated all the time. it needs to be a component that we examine and look at because it can give you a lot of insight and tell you a lot about a person. But see, Al wasn't interested in none of that. He wanted to make this about race, and he kept inserting race into this situation, never once examining the character of this young woman. Then he goes, having said that, I commend a lot of blacks and whites who stood vigil and to come together in that community to stand up for this girl. On the basis of what? Where was the evidence? I get she said what happened. Where was the evidence? So he goes, so I think in the midst of this, there is some good. So O'Reilly goes, why are we standing up for the girl if there is the possibility, based upon evidence, that the girl may have fabricated the story? Why don't we all pull back and let the authorities investigate and let the legal system work? Here goes Sharpton. Well, first of all, the authorities have charged there was a crime. So they're not saying that at all. Second of all, people on any side of an argument have the right to advocate on behalf of who they believe. Thirdly, I think that when the prosecutors went forward, they clearly have said this girl is the victim. So why are we trying the victim and not the... Now, you see how he never answered the question? Bill O'Reilly flat out asked him, I get it, but... why are we standing with the girl when, based upon evidence, that the girl may have fabricated the story? She may have fabricated the story. Al was never interested in the truth. He was always interested in the race-baiting narrative because he's a profiteer off of people's pain. Alleged pain, real pain, manufactured pain. He don't care. He an equal opportunity grifter. He's gonna get the bag regardless because he trash. Because that's how you do. O'Reilly goes, I don't want to try anybody. But there is enough evidence that has surfaced here. We have evidence that DNA doesn't match the kids. We have evidence that ABC News uncovered that there is a recording made by a security guard who looked at the victim after she said she was graped and said there was no problem. And we have a police officer who found the victim drunk in a car in a 11, who phoned it in before she went to the hospital. So when you have three elements like that, I say there is reasonable doubt right now. You know what the grand jury proceeding is. Then Sharpton goes, absolutely. O'Reilly goes, it's a one-sided proceeding. Sharpton goes, but I think that all of the facts that you have laid out, the DA had, and I know this DA is probably not one that is crazy, he would not have proceeded if he did not feel that he could convict. So it tells me that all of what you said is either, listen to this fool, is either not true or he was convincing evidence, or he has convincing evidence that would certainly knock that out, and no one is not letting him proceed. You know, a lot of those community leaders down there, pro and con, wanted a lot of people to come in. I know for a fact. Ask Jesse Jackson to come. We said we don't want to be, and then it says inaudible. O'Reilly goes, so you didn't go down? Jackson did go down. I don't want what happened to Amadou Diallo. Remember Amadou Diallo? Sharpton goes, oh, absolutely. O'Reilly says he was the African immigrant who was shot by police, shot dead here in New York, and there were demonstrations. You were out there demonstrating and all that. And then when the trial came, the jury, which included African Americans, said not guilty. Sharpton, no, you jumped too far. They moved the trial out of town. O'Reilly goes, doesn't matter. Sharpton, it matters a whole lot. If that trial had happened in New York, where people were very clear on that street unit crime, the results would have been different. The case, this reminds me of, Bill, let's talk about the case this parallels. O'Reilly goes, it does. Sharpton goes, this case parallels Abner Louima, who was raped and sodomized in a bathroom like this girl has allegedly she was. That's the case. And just like in the Louima case, you had people here saying she fabricated it. They said he fabricated it. 2 guys in jail right now for that. O'Reilly goes, and that was fine. I'm all for that. And we marched there, says Sharpton. Here's my point, O'Reilly says. The jury system worked in the Louima case. Okay. Sharpton goes, the jury system worked after we were assured by our protest there would be a jury. O'Reilly goes, would you say the jury system worked in the Louima case? Sharpton goes, ultimately. O'Reilly, and I would submit the jury system worked in the Diallo case as well. Sharpton, no, I wouldn't. O'Reilly, because you didn't get the verdict you wanted? Sharpton, the change of venue. O'Reilly, so what? That's what they ruled. Here come this. I'm about tired of reading this because I want to slap the paper as if it was Al Sharpton, because this dude is just trash. He is a horrible person, y'all. Sharpton, even then, we accepted it as something we disagreed with. Nobody is burning down New York. Nobody is burning down Durham. I think what I don't accept is for people to act like this young lady, no matter what her profession. There you go. That's the linchpin that I want to talk about. I want to talk about why no one ever is concerned with the character of these people who bring these accusations. Character matters. I know y'all think that it don't, but it does. Character matters. He goes, and I think people need to know she is a mother. See how they always try to glamorize and gloss over and they want to control the narrative. Like they did with Trayvon Martin, showing that picture of that boy in middle school like he wasn't halfway practically grown. Or they always show, the sanitized version of the victim that they're trying to create. They don't ever show you who the person actually was at the time when they committed whatever heinous crime or race hoax that they were actually charged with. They always want to paint the other narrative to emotionally get you riled up, because race is the thing they know. If you worship that melanin and you bring up ethnicity as a component, that it makes people scatter like roaches that are white and rouse up others if they are black. That's why they do it. O'Reilly and Sharpton, they end up going back and forth. I ain't about to read the rest of these 2 pages. What I might do is go ahead and link this transcript because y'all, I had to dig deep to find this. But why am I bringing all of this up? Why am I bringing all of this up? Because this stripper knew. She knew that she could holler and pull the race card, and everything about her character would get ignored and glossed over as if it really wasn't that important. That's my opinion. That is my opinion. That is the assertion that I am making. They knew, she knew, I believe everyone who was supporting her knew that if we make this about race, everything about her character would be ignored. She knew that there was some race-trading pulpit pimp and low-down civil rights worker that would be eager to jump on the bandwagon and champion her, because she, like so many Black Americans, we have been taught and trained to use ethnicity. That's your trump. That's your get out of jail free card. That's your trump card to overshadow the lack of character and deficiencies in virtue that you may have. This chick had a lot of issues. She had a whole lot of stuff going on. Yes, she was a single mom, but she was also a stripper and an escort. It had a history of issues that probably led her down this path. And now we've learned she's currently serving time in prison for stabbing a boyfriend and murder, like she killed him. But we are trained. We are trained and obligated that no matter how poor your character is, no matter what you are failing to do or not do in your life, if you didn't graduate high school, if your mama is a crackhead, if your daddy was a pimp, if you didn't get picked for the varsity team, they didn't let you sing the lead solo at church, it don't matter what it is. You are never responsible for your own actions, and therefore, it's okay to use your race as the reason and the crutch for why you may be failing in the character department. That's why I want to talk about this tonight, because don't you guys know? Y'all don't know that race is the most important attribute ever? Yes! Your ethnicity is the most important attribute about yourself. This is what they want you to believe. The way our kids and the way our young people have been taught and trained and indoctrinated, and how we are raising them to believe, and we are crippling them over this ideology, because they are being told that it's not your character that matters. It's your ethnicity. It's your ethnicity, and they are not stressing the importance of you got to lead with good character. Instead, they are being told that it's their ethnicity that's the most important. And I'm here to tell you, ethnicity is nothing more than a reflection of God's glory. I say it all the time. It is not something to be used as an excuse or to be pitied. Full stop. If somebody don't like you because of your ethnicity, who the heck cares? So what? So what? But what are we teaching our children? We're teaching them that if somebody doesn't like them because of their race, that now they need to go and march. They need to go and demand what they want. They want to burn the city down? Okay. They want to sue? Let's go ahead and draw up the papers. They want to do everything. And they want to train our children to do everything except look at themselves and to self-reflect. They're just going to keep going to the well of the race grievance, lowering down that bucket and just drinking from it. Well, we've done that. We've been doing that probably for the past 12 years, and now something is happening. We are seeing that the well is starting to dry up. The ground underneath is parched. Not too many people are listening anymore to the people who keep crying wolf. That's what we're starting to see. And I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing that the crying of the wolf has gotten to the point that people are like, you know what? I'm tired of all this lying. Because first of all, I'm interested to know, how does this even work? Right? If we're going to keep teaching our children that ethnicity is the most important thing, and it's the one thing that they need to be obsessed with all the time, how does this even work? Like, why are you going to force someone to like you or to treat you a certain way, right? Like, if you're being mistreated, okay, don't be around people that mistreat you. If it's a job and you're like, I don't like the way they treat me and it's because I'm black, okay, well, quit. Go get another job. Like, get away from people who don't treat you right. Why you want to force yourself on people and in situations that are not treating you with respect? I am trying to orient this whole conversation and ground it in my biblical worldview, because the Bible speaks. When I think about people like Al Sharpton, he's the extortioner that the scriptures speak of. That's him and the entire race grievance industry, using the law to coerce people to bow the knee to whatever perceived inferiority that you think you are experiencing. And it's if you ever get into trouble because of your bad behavior or your poor character, all you got to do is scream race. All you got to do is be like, it's because I'm black, right? Because if you black, People get to ignore all of your bad character and your bad choices, and then you get absolved from ever taking responsibility. Ever taking responsibility for what you did, because you were never taught that it was your behavior and your character that's the reason that's holding you back. Let me go ahead and grab this super chat. Hey, Dre Harden. Good to see you, brother Dre. Dre says, my mom taught us to shut up if I have nothing nice to say. And listening to this Jezebel woman, I have nothing nice to say. Well, I don't know. I'm hoping you talking about the crystal lady and not me. But if you are talking about me, I don't know. Thank you for the $5. I don't know. I don't want to misconstrue. Sometimes I'm late getting to the super chats. So I don't know if I'm the Jezebel or if Crystal's the Jezebel. But just leave me a thumbs up if you still here, Mr. Dre, to let me know who you talking about. I don't want to hurl an accusation that is unfounded and untrue. But let's see. I think I got, that was the only one that I wanted to get. Let's see. All right. So you guys, so many people. Robert, I see you laughing. I'm late getting to the super chat, so I don't know if he was talking about me or the girl that we talking about in the case. So did I review the transcript? Yes, I did. So based on the outcome of what we see happening here with this whole situation, we've seen this woman, she's given this confession. Oh, it's not me. Thanks, Susie Q. I was just like, well, what'd I say? I was like, well, thanks for the $5. It's fine. It's fine. I didn't want to assume, because sometimes people will pay you so they can insult you. And I was going to keep the $5. Right. All right. It's cool. I appreciate you guys. California's rejecting all black applicants. Throughout the state for every job. Where's your I voted Trump card? Oh, yes. Yes. I voted for him. I sure did. Not ashamed at all. Not ashamed. Okay, here we go. So, let me finish. See this? I be getting sidetracked when I'm fooling. When I be fooling with y'all, I'm not paying attention like I'm supposed to. All right, so what I was talking about, the entire race grievance industry, how you get to ignore all your bad character and choices if you just pull the race card. And I just don't see how this is sustainable and gonna work long term. Because what we end up seeing is that so many people, they fall back on race when it's their character. Right? Like I'm a Gen Xer. So I grew up in a different time period. I didn't grow up, with the helmets and the knee pad generation where it was like, ooh, show us where it hurts. They pushed you off the bike so you could practice what it felt like to be hurt and then be like, go ahead and get up. Like you just had to figure it out. And so I was raised in a generation where character actually mattered. Like you were taught to say, yes, ma'am, no, sir. You were taught how to conduct yourself at a job interview. Like you knew you weren't going to get a job. Like the idea of showing up to a job interview with a tat on your face, right? And unkempt hair and pants sagging. Like I can't wrap my mind around such a concept because that's just not how we functioned when I was growing up. And so the idea that you get to ignore all of these character development things and you get to just raise your hand and say it's because you're black, I can't relate to that. We were taught that it's your behavior and your character that will go way further than your ethnicity ever will. And what we can see based on the outcomes of this woman that we're talking about, she lived as an orangutan, unable to manage her misery exhibiting lots of character deficiencies. And now she's eating the fruit of how she lived her life. Y'all, she stabbed the man and killed him. Like, he's not here, and she's probably going to be in jail for the rest of her life. And now she's coming out saying, you know, I'm sorry that I ruined your life, and I hope that you know or see that God loved you, is loving you through me, right? So many people, they will fall back on their character, on their race, when it's really their character. So here's what I want to talk about. I want to help you guys to know and understand that most, not all, without distinction, when most white people see us, I mean, some of them don't feel no way either way. They like, I don't know this person. But when we're constantly walking around internalizing these preconceived notions and assumptions that we think people have about us, to me, that's just you projecting some sort of perceived inferiority, right? I don't understand how you can walk away thinking that you are on top of mind of every single person who doesn't look like you. Most white people do not care about your ethnicity. I know you don't believe them. And this is why I keep telling them, white folks, to stop apologizing and living in perpetual condemnation of whatever your ancestors may or may not have done, because most white people don't care about your ethnicity. It's your character. And if your character is trash, it's just trash. Like, we have to bemoan when MLK is like, you know, I dream of a day when, you know, my children won't be judged, you know, by the color of their skin, by the content of your character. Listen, stop dreaming. The day when you will be judged by your character, it's already here. You ain't got to dream about it. People, they can discern character by looking at how you move and function in the world. And when you walk out with a bonnet on your head and slippers on your feet and your booty is hanging out and your pants are sagging, won't cut your hair, you came out the house stinking, mad that nobody will hire you. I mean, if this is how you present yourself to the world, what, are you shocked? And then if they do take a chance and hire you, you show up late, rushing to get off early, out here stealing the company's paper, the highlighters, the pens, lying on your expense reports, won't show up to work, and then when you're fired, it's because you're black. No, it's because your character is trash. It's because your character is trash. This is the legacy of the race grievance crowd, y'all. There is a history of race lies that Sharpton and all his little civil rights homies have pushed. And I know y'all, there are varying degrees of opinions regarding this, but Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, George Floyd, I'm throwing Kamala Harris in this bunch of race hoaxes that Al Sharpton and his bobblehead behind he was involved in all of those and pushing race as the issue. And now, even with Kamala, she didn't, well, when I say she didn't commit a crime, what I mean is she didn't get gunned down by some white person, but they pushed Kamala on us and wanted us to feel sorry for her. And of all the people that I just mentioned who had no virtue, had no honor, they all had poor character, including her. Including her. You can get mad all you want to, but it is true. Between being disrespectful and prideful, these days, our poor character, it is a reflection of an entire culture where can't nobody tell you nothing, can't nobody teach you anything, can't nobody point out observable reality. That's what we're living in right now. Because let me tell you something, everything ain't because you're black. Like I said, your character is trash. It's your character and the culture of failure that you embrace. That's the problem. Because in America, the people who win are the ones who are resourceful. Are you humble? Are you responsible? Do you carry yourself with respect? Do you have a strong work ethic? Do you try and push yourself past limits to achieve, even when you're told no or you can't do something? Do you work hard to put your best foot forward? Are you willing to compete? Right? Are you interested in being evaluated based on your own individual merit, or do you want someone to just hand you everything? Right? Here's where I am. And to be fair, I don't really care who doesn't like it. I have no respect for any of the civil rights, race-baiting Negroes. Al Sharpton, Ben Crump, Jesse Jackson, yes, the wolf that keeps on wolfing, Jamal Bryant. I'm throwing Jamal Bryant in there too. None of them. I said it. And do you want to know why? Because I know that those no good jokers, they have no problems taking advantage of people who are looking and fighting for a better life. And then here come them fools. They go and they tell them, you know what had just happened to you. You know that happened because you was black, right? We'll pay to put you through school, right? Or we'll pay for Taquayshawn's funeral, but what we need you to do, we need you to do this press conference, and we need you to let us help you. Because we from the race grievance industry and we here to help. And what we'll do, you see, when you call us and we come down, we'll make sure that the media gives this the attention it deserves. That's how these jokers move. They're like little leeches. And so, in this Crystal Mangum case, in this situation, what we have to realize is that you had the number one race hustler involved who claimed he wasn't, but he was. We have apparent character issues that were present the entire time, but no one was interested in examining. We had the media's response, who unwilling to wait for the facts to come out, and even after the facts did, they refused to humble themselves and make right and apologize. There are so many factors here. Particularly how they lied, right? They lied about the DNA. In this Crystal Mangum case, they lied about the DNA. They, without material evidence, they lied and pushed a false narrative. The media did it. The DA was involved. The race trading, race hustlers were. Even the university fired people over this foolishness. I mean, y'all, it was bad. All those liberals over at Duke, they just wanted to be a hero. They wanted to prove that, this is the South, but we're not like that anymore. And it's just so unfortunate what happened to her. They didn't care about the facts. The facts were irrelevant to them. They just automatically jumped on the black girl side when the whole thing didn't make no darn sense. Y'all, if y'all go back to what happened, her story kept morphing and changing and just getting more crazy. And then it started paralleling and sounding like other cases. And when people eventually start scratching their head like, all right, this chick, she out of order. Something ain't right. This heifer is lying. Everybody knew that heifer was lying, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter because it fit the narrative. And then when you got egg on your face, you can't just humble yourself and be like, we got caught up. We should have known she was lying when all the evidence started coming out, but we couldn't. This girl is doing a life sentence in prison. And she has finally gotten the character, so it seems, to realize that she was wrong. Finally realizing that she was wrong and needed to confess and to ask for forgiveness. But these civil rights pimps, they never cared about the character deficiencies that drove this girl to lie about this situation in the first place. They ain't never cared about her. They never cared about her. Nifong, the DA, he used this case to boost his own career, and it was the perfect reverse Emmett Till case to catapult him to stardom. But look what ended up happening. He ends up disbarred for how he tried the case. And these young boys, you don't get to just bounce back from this. Like 20 years go by and it's just like, oh, I'm sorry. No, like people's lives were destroyed over this. These Marxists, they have been using our pain for their advantage for years. Every white person, when someone screams about race, they have to go run and hide. They have to run, literally, they're gonna run, go and hide, because everything about your character these days, it doesn't matter. Just like Kamala Harris, it didn't matter that she was dumb as a stump, dumb as a bag of hammers. It did not matter. Her rise to stardom was making it, y'all, was just making it do what it do on her back. And all they did, they used race to cover up every one of her character deficiencies and her lack of competency. And they led with, because she's black, that makes her qualified. And I'm sitting here like, you can't be serious. We can't be sitting here listening to the same woman who everything was scripted. She couldn't do an impromptu interview if the darn teleprompter was in her eye contacts, because she didn't have it. She didn't have it. The lefticals are still out here crying and whining and claiming that she was done wrong because she was black and female. Race and racism. Kamala lost. Everyone falls back on the reason why she lost is because of her ethnicity. Everything, including that tub of collard greens that she was caping about, everything about her was just wrong. But instead of us addressing it and saying, listen, she's not a good candidate. She ain't the one. We just hollered racism and misogyny. Same thing with Fonnie Willis. We had the same exact thing. Fonnie stood up in that church and she screamed racism and claimed that she was being overly sexualized and wanted everybody to ignore that she was funneling money to her boot thing to investigate a former president on some baseless charges. Forget the fact that she was sleeping with Nathan Wade as a jump off. No, that shouldn't matter. Do you know how many YouTube comments I saw with people like, none of that should matter? That's not important. I was like, so we just gonna act like none of this is happening. All of these character issues are okay, and it's not reflective of a person who probably has the propensity to do whatever it takes to get to the top. When it came down to it, Fonnie did just like Crystal Mangum and just cried racism because I'm black, right? Jamal Bryant cried racism over Fonnie Willis instead of recognizing that she's Nathan's jump off, Jamal. The elephant's in the room and you act like it's not there. Yes, exactly what they do, because they use racism all the time to sidestep these character deficiencies. But this is what y'all need to know. These race hustlers and the race traders, they have gone to the race well too many times. And now their bucket is coming up empty. What do I mean? Right? Like these jokers out here crying wolf and ain't nobody listening no more. Right? They are losing their grip, and it's because of podcasts like this and independent media who are uncovering and revealing to the world who these pimps really are. We're telling it, and we ain't ashamed, because the media, mainstream media, they're not going to do it. They are finally losing steam, and the racism steamboat and the racism choo-choo train, oh, they running out of steam. They are running out of steam. Kamala Harris, she made a fool out of black folks by pretending to be black, thinking that if she had some sort of connection, kind of, sort of, to the Black community, that was going to have some kind of social currency value for her. But no, this chick came out here saying she was Black, and come to find out this heifer's Caucasian, like literally. And I'm sitting back like, well, I'll be darned. We didn't even check. We just believed it. And Kamala Harris is out here more like Kash Patel than she is Shaniqua. Her and Harmeet Dillon have more in common than me and Kamala. Because she Indian, right? Like she tried to grab hold of our misery, trying to slide on in and push her Indian heritage to the side. Don't need to worry about that. I'm from a middle-class family and I'm a Black, right? She used her Blackness for her own, not her Blackness, because it's not hers. She used our Blackness for her own benefit. And y'all, if it wasn't for Donald Trump blowing that whole campaign up with that little fact, like, when was she Black? I didn't even have known. Donald Trump literally was like, I was today years old. He like, I was today years old when I found out she was Black. I always thought she was Indian. Blew up the whole campaign. I know the Republicans refuse to acknowledge it. And them darn Diddycrats are still mad about it. But Donald Trump blew the lid off the fact that heifer lied about being Black and was never Black up until it became convenient for her. And it changed the whole game. Changed the whole game. So, I'm going to wrap it up. Listen, y'all, for these three men that we've falsely accused, David Evans, what's the boy name? Colin Finnerty, and the one with the last name that I can't pronounce too good. Reed Seligman. That's it. I'm sorry. This whole case is a sobering example of how easily lives can get destroyed by lies. Right? Like, even after being exonerated, their names will forever be linked to this scandal, and that's unfortunate. But in her interview, Crystal, she expressed a few things. She expressed hope that they, the gentlemen, can forgive her and find healing. And I get it. I hear that. I do. I hear that. I get that. Yet forgiveness doesn't erase consequences, right? Like, it's this process, and healing takes time. Like, it's taking me time to process the fact that we already knew she lied, and then to have her come out and admit it, and it's like 20 years later, and it's like, yo, it was just jacked up. I get it. I'm struggling. I told y'all I'm struggling. And I can only imagine what these three men are experiencing. My hope is that this case serves as a cautionary tale for our culture, and that in today's climate, you know, the whole concept of believe all women, it's become a rallying cry. But I'd like to think that we need to remember that when you're seeking justice, it requires discernment and a commitment to the truth, right? Like, we need evidence, and an attempt to just run with a narrative to push a particular ideology. We can't do that, right? Like, we have to resist the need to want to run with it because the narrative fits a particular ideology. As Christians, we're called to stand both for truth, and we can do it with grace. But false accusations, all they do is they harm the innocent. And then the person that is genuinely suffering injustice, their credibility is undermined because of fake situations like this. Because there are women who are actual victims of grape. And every time there's a situation like this, it makes it harder and harder for them to be believed and to be taken serious, right? But these chicks like this Crystal chick and E. Jean Carroll, listen, I don't don't do well with liars. I'm just saying, there's a special place in hell for people like that. And unless they repent, that's where they will end up. And so, in closing, what I actually want to say is that, y'all, the Diddycrats are done. They're done. They're done because if you look at the situation with Daniel Penny in New York, and how, Black Lives Matter of New York got them a little audience and was out there being all aggressive and hateful. And people was just sitting there looking at them like, okay. And you were saying? But how many riots happened in New York over this situation? None. Do you want to know why? No riots happened because shows like this and other platforms have been exposing the fraud that BLM and other race grifting hustlers. We've just been exposing it, and people are like, yeah, you're not about to fool me again. People are waking up. And so because of this, that well of race and ethnicity I told you about, that well is drying up. People are so in tune to the fact that these people have been taking advantage of the pain, like legitimate pain where there's injustice that happens, and they're doing it because they want to cry race under every rock. Democrats are done. It don't work no more. It doesn't work anymore. And so I'm glad that situations like this have to happen so that the tide can shift and adjust. But the question is, we need to ask ourselves, like, where do we go from here, right? Like, legally at this point, there is little recourse for the gentlemen that were falsely accused. Why? The statute of limitations is up. And what pisses me off is the fact that in 2007, they knew there was no evidence that this girl was lying, and they could have pursued perjury charges against her, but they didn't. And I have a feeling I know why, but I think they should. The only way situations like this are going to stop is if there are consequences for people that end up, the truth comes out. Like with the white girl who lied. Like, granted, she in her early millions, but you have to teach people, like, you can't just do this. She shriveled up somewhere, but they still should have filed charges. Like, I do agree with that attorney that I showed on Fox. They need to do some sort of legislation to indefinitely extend the statute of limitations for perjury and pursuing situations like that. Like, now you just don't get to lie and move on with your life and be like, oh, my bad, I'm sorry. No, you don't get to do that. The time has passed. And her Crystal Mangum situation, like, she's in jail for killing somebody else. It's an unrelated conviction. On top of the fact she has no money. So it's not like these guys can pursue her civilly and gain anything of it. She doesn't have any resources. The statute of limitations has expired. But I'm saying that culturally, we need to reflect on the lessons of this case, and let's uphold due process. Right? Practice discernment. And we need to encourage accountability. I talked a lot about character because your character will take you so far. And when we teach young people to be accountable, accept responsibility for your own actions, and to recognize that your ethnicity is not a crutch or a handicap or something to glory in or to idolize. It is just a reflection of God's glory and how he wanted to make different people groups of the world. But we don't glory in our flesh. We don't glory in our flesh. But we have to encourage some sort of accountability, not just for these individuals, right? But for the institutions and the media. That's really who stoked these flames, the media. But I'm interested in hearing from you guys. I'm going to get to this last super chat. Y'all, that is my partner in crime, A Critical Perspective. He says, shout out from the Green Frog Campground in Tennessee. Listen, I like Green Frog, okay? Y'all, me and Henry, when we were working on Vince Everett Ellison's next documentary, we stayed at this place called the Green Frog. It's not like a campground. It's like, what is it? It's got cabins, and it's like a little, it's kind of like a bed and breakfast, but not really. I don't really know what Green Frog is, but I like Green Frog, and I plan to make some time to go back to Green Frog so I can finish my book, because Lord knows I can't get nothing done here in Atlanta. It's just too many distractions. I need to be out and away from the world to get that done. But I'm interested in hearing from you guys on this topic. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, what lessons do you think we can take away from this case? I told you, I was honest. I'm struggling. I'm struggling a lot. But how can we as a society, how can we prevent similar injustices like this from happening? You know, y'all can feel free to chat about it in the comments. I hope you found the slant that I placed on this in terms of focusing on character. I'm hoping you found that insightful, because I felt like if we would have examined Fonny's character, you know, just examining character, and I get it. I could even see how someone could say, well, what about Donald Trump's character? I don't disagree. I said you need to examine it, but not how you think. Like a person, you may not like. There's a difference between character and personality, right? Like your personality, character are those attributes and traits that make up like your personal philosophy, how you move and function in the world and in life. And a person can have character deficiencies, but overall, your character can give people a good, broad, bird's eye overview of the kind of person that you are. And I would even say that there's sometimes when you've demonstrated poor character qualities and it's public and it's made known, it can make it difficult for people to move past that. But it needs to be examined. Like, it's a part of who you are. So you need to expect that people are going to judge you by it. Like, for you to think, well, don't pay no attention to that. Well, they are. They are. I don't think it needs to be the sole deciding factor depending on the context, but it needs to be examined. Like, people need to look at the sum total of all of those moving parts. And I think in all of these race hoax situations and race grievance circumstances, if we just looked at the character of these people, we could have saved ourselves so much time and money and just emotional turmoil. We really could have. This is who this person is. So I'm just saying, you will be judged by your character. You need to assume it on sight. And we all can learn some lessons from this. But anyway, yeah, Cindy. Cindy Rose said, listen, an unrepentant life leads to doing worse and worse sins. Come on, sis. I get it. Cindy also said, lesson, people lie in court far more than I want to admit. So perjury penalties need not have time limits when discovered. I like you, Cindy. I like you a lot. Cindy on it tonight. I'm feeling her. Y'all need to listen to Sister Yvette, because y'all being disobedient and rebellious. Sister Yvette said, if you have not done already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell and share this video. I love you guys with the love of the Lord. I hope I did you some good today. I stole that. But I'm going to skedaddle. It has been on 1 hour and 39 minutes. I only had that one topic to cover. I've got some other shows brewing. Tomorrow, I think I'm going to do I'm going to do a reaction to some fiery commentary that the big homie did, my friend, Critical Perspective. I think I can get that out tomorrow. I don't know. It depends on what time I wake up and get my life together. And then there were two other stories that I wanted to cover. The other day, I did a premiere. If you have not watched the video that I did about Nikki Giovanni, I think it's very important. You need to go back and watch it. I'm going to do a follow-up to that video because there's an aspect of what I said in that Nikki Giovanni video that I'm going to pick back up. And this will be like my sequel, but not really, because I'm going to talk about something different, but it ties in to the Nikki Giovanni situation. It's some information I want to share with you guys that I thought was very insightful. So I'm hoping to record that tomorrow. I'm going to have to record a lot because I am going out of town this week. I am headed to Arizona to the AmeriFest, and let me see if I can share it with y'all. Let me see. Hold on before I let y'all go. So I'll be MIA. I will be meeting the lovely Miss Chris and Henry down in Arizona. We're going to be on site, on location, reporting from the ground. We do have digital media credentials. So I'll be giving you guys a play-by-play of what's going on there as I'm there. So I'll be away, but I will be, where is it? This is where I'm going. Let me bring it in. Bam! AmeriFest 2024. I'll be leaving Wednesday, and I'm going, and I'll be reporting and giving you guys, I'm trying to score some really good interviews. I've touched base with a few fellow patriots who've agreed to allow me to interview them. So I'm just hoping that we don't have technical issues and I can just get through these interviews so that I can have some nice, good, clean, and great sounding content for you guys when I get back. And then after that, it will be Christmas, and y'all won't see me because Christmas is a big deal in this house, and these kids will drive me crazy if I try to live stream. What day of the week is Christmas? What day of the week is Christmas? Is Christmas on a Thursday? I don't even be knowing. I don't know what I'm coming and going these days, y'all. I got so much going on. What day is Christmas? I know it's on the 25th. What is that? Oh, that's my Bluetooth. Why is my Bluetooth talking by itself? Sorry, you guys. I was trying to pull up my calendar. What day is Christmas? Y'all still ain't told me. Christmas. Oh, snap. Christmas is on a Wednesday. Okay. All right. So I get back Sunday and Christmas is that Wednesday. Okay. Christmas is on a Wednesday. So I might live stream on Monday the 23rd. I am not live streaming on Wednesday on Christmas. Might drop something. I don't know what. But y'all might see me on the 27th. Y'all can't get 10 minutes on the Christmas day? Y'all want me talking about the baby in the manger? If y'all, my family will kill me. Let me see. Listen, if I get permission to pop in with y'all on Christmas, y'all gonna be with y'all's family. Y'all don't care what I got going on. Y'all don't want me to go live on Christmas. Am I cooking? Y'all, I got to get. It's too much. It's too much going on. I can't. Don't even worry about it. I'm trying to figure out what day I'm gonna go. I gotta cook for Christmas. We'll work it out. Don't worry about it. We'll work it out. But anyway, I love you guys. I got on my Christmas earrings. I never wear stuff like this, but I was feeling festive. So, I don't know. Probably will never wear them again. They're all right. They are red, though. They are red. But Merry Christmas to you guys. Christmas is one of those holidays that you know, I struggled for years because you grow up celebrating it as a child and then it gets all commercialized and then the Lord saves you and you all zealous and you just like, no, I don't want to celebrate it. And then I realized, I'm like, listen, the Messiah was born. That is a good thing to celebrate. Because had Jesus not come, born of a virgin, you know, as the baby in the manger, he couldn't be savior of the world. Like, it just had to happen that way. So that's kind of how I look at Christmas. But oh, thank you, sis. Thank you. Love you very, very much. That is my girl. Lorena says, sending you some love. Great commentary as always. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm so sorry we didn't get together. Life was a little crazy, but 2025 is a new year. And I got some good things cooking. So, y'all, help me on this journey toward 100,000K. I am excited about it. When I cross over 100,000 subscribers, I am going to host a live event here in Atlanta. I'm going to have like a little party, a little celebration. I don't know where, and obviously I don't know when, because you don't know when you're actually going to hit that milestone. But once we cross over that threshold, I will make the announcement and begin planning that. And if you are in Metro Atlanta, or if you're in South Carolina, Tennessee, North Carolina, Alabama, make your way to Atlanta so you can celebrate with me. That is such a huge milestone and accomplishment, especially for a Christian content creator in such a short amount of time. I've worked really, really hard trying to just create really good content for you guys. So I'm excited about all that the Lord has in store and all that he's doing and the places he's taking me. And he is really, really good. I mean, I'm doing way better than I deserve. So thank you. But anyway, right. Listen, Susie Q, I don't know. I just know I'm celebrating the Christmas. Okay, y'all can judge me all you want to, but that's it. Anyway, you guys take care. Until next time, you guys, grace and peace.